and welcome to the new extension of Plywood Studios. There is a reason that we are here filming today, and that reason will come up in a moment. This month I'd really like to talk about publicity. A lot of people know that it is a favourite subject of mine, and it really stems from the fact that a huge percentage of the people that live in this country would agree with our ethos. The idea that we can all come to our own conclusions, the fact that we should be tolerant, we should be inclusive, it's mainstream thinking, and yet the number of people that we actually get in our pews on a Sunday is incredibly small. And the difference between those, I think, can be put down to the fact that people don't know that we exist, and they don't know what we stand for. And therefore, if we could do that better, we would actually end up with more people. A wonderful example of where I think a lot of churches get it wrong is I see a vast number with nothing outside to give people any form of indication as to what we do stand for. They may say we're all welcome, but every single church in the land would say that they welcome everybody. But they don't actually, the Unitarian churches that I see don't actually indicate any form of detail as to what our ethos is and what we stand for. As Stephen Lingwood mentioned in the theological conference which took place a couple of months ago, it is more difficult for us because we don't have a fixed set of beliefs to ultimately die for. It is actually more difficult for us to get our point across, and sometimes it does come across as ham-fisted and difficult. And I completely agree with everything that Stephen said, but it doesn't mean that we can't try, and it doesn't mean that it's not the key to ensuring that we continue to exist and that we have thriving congregations. An example of how I think that we can get our message across is coming up now, and it is something which an awful lot of companies are doing now to increase their online presence. It is a film about the making of this shed, and the reason that I have done it is for the last few frames, which is where I mention the name Unitarian, in this example UK Unitarian TV, but it is the word Unitarian. And I'm hoping that that film will reach places which a normal Unitarian film wouldn't go to, and people will just see that name at the end, and if they see that name Unitarian enough, then they might actually consider going in and sort of investigating us. I've seen this in so many other groups do a film not relevant to what they are dealing with, but actually to try and get that film watched by other audiences. And this is something I'm going to be doing over the next few months on different aspects to just try and get that word Unitarian actually in front of new faces. If you're interested in publicity at all, please don't forget the Unicoms conference coming up in November, and try and get a member of your congregation to go. It's where there's an awful lot of tricks and tips that you will learn about how to do practical things to improve the way that we do publicity. There's a session on how to create a PR strategy so you as a congregation know what you're trying to achieve with PR and how to do that. There's a session on making short films, and it might be that you've only got a smartphone, but the smartphones these days are so good that you can do quite amazing things. The film you're about to watch, 95% of it was done on a smartphone. There is also sessions on utilising social media, which is something that a lot of people struggle with. And there's actually a different session on if you are using CDs in your service, the types of things that you need to worry about from a technical and a legal point of view. So please look at the website www.unicoms.org.uk, and please consider trying to get somebody to go to that conference. We're now going to see this film about the making of this shed, and I really hope you enjoy it. I'm now going to show you another short film that I have done, which is a sort of thought for the day film. And at the Unicoms conference, we're going to try and create some of these, because it would be wonderful to have a whole sequence of thought for the days, which means the fact that when somebody goes onto a particular website, they can actually pick up some sort of idea of what they should be considering, thinking about on that week, on that day, etc.
There are many matters where my knowledge is extremely poor. Particle physics, astronomy, astrology, I could list many more. But this is information I willingly live without, as I still can have a fully functional existence and go about my life not worrying that there are things I do not understand. And I have faith in the experts who have any necessaries all in hand. But there are some questions that do wander about my head. They don't seem to want to leave, but instead go round and round in very random orbits, in an ever-varying and unpredictable ellipse, knocked off course by momentary sparks of realization, a sight, sound, smell, or more rarely a sixth sense sensation. I can be moved by looking up and seeing clouds flutter by, or down and marvel at the complex miracle of the butterfly. The same things that have been asked for time immemorial. Not the how and when so much these days, that's a web tutorial. It's the why and the who, where the answers are still short of facts. Because even your highly qualified subatomic particle scientist lacks evidence for these, which are the infinitely deep, imponderable questions that still must be left to one's own personal faith and reflections. And so I hope and pray it will always be so. Some things it is better that we just do not know. Otherwise, many people might be very disappointed.
Next month we'll bring you some of the films that I created when I went to New Meeting Birmingham, and there's a lovely one about an opinion line about the way different Unitarians feel about different questions, and I thank that congregation for allowing me to film them, and there's some more filming coming up in the autumn. Goodbye for now.